Hi guys, welcome back to another video. This is Library of Orthanc, LOTR TCG YouTube channel. Today we're continuing our series of the PC decks, specifically the format championship winning decks. And so what I have for you today is the champion of the PC movie block. So again, this is just like movie block, with the only differences being virtual cards are legal and problematic cards have been issued errata by the PC. So you won't see Galadriel, Lady Redeems running and overtaking this format is one of the major changes, but there's a number of erratas just nerfing some of the more problematic cards. But today we're just here to talk about one specific deck, and that's the format championship winning deck. So as I said in our last video, the World Championships are actually coming up here next month, but the PC, in preparation for that, did format championships for each of the popular formats. And this is actually the winning deck from the PC movie format. Excuse me. So, again, this was also a deck by Bass Malice. And again, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Basmelis was the GEMP player who created this deck. So I've got it on paper here and I want to share it with you guys. So starting off, we have our Fellowship. So for starting Fellowship, we have Frodo the Tired Traveler with One Ring Attar. And then for starting, we do have Gandalf, Leader of Men, the one that only costs 2 in your starting Fellowship, and the Forest Guardian. You guys probably get the hint that this is a Save from the Fire Burning Ents deck. So what we're going to be doing is setting fire to this guy and stacking up some better companions. So that's your starting Fellowship. I do like the Forest Guardian as the starting Ent, just because he has this discard 2 cards to allow him to skirmish. So that way, if you do need to cycle to try to find that Save from the Fire, he'll help you cycle a little better. So there's your starting Fellowship. And actually, let's just do this right away too, just because I want people to be aware of what I'm talking about if you're not familiar with this type of deck strategy. So we're going to start off just with our Save from the Fire. Have to show these off, guys. Full playset there of Save from the Fire. This is actually one of my favorite cards and just is a tremendous foil. Unfortunately, very expensive, but a very beautiful foil. So, sorry, back to the deck tech. The idea here is that you burn a Gandalf companion. When I say burn, place it in the dead pile. And what that enables you to do is to take 3 cards of that companion's culture into hand from your draw deck. So this is typically going to flood the Twilight pool on one turn and just take a massive amount of companions played and massive flooding of the Twilight pool. So this is the kind of key centerpiece of the deck, is that Save from the Fire. So then moving on to the companions in the deck that we're playing. So what are we going to be searching for? One of them is this Ent Horde. Again, just a massive companion. The one thing you have to always watch out for these, though, is for this one to be played, you have to spot 2 Ent companions. So you do have to play these in the right order. You do have a number of Ents, but just keep an eye on your deploy requirements. So this one requires 2 Ents to play. And it is Defender +1, so that's just a huge beast. Then we have Skinbark Flaydrift. He is, again, just another medium-sized Ent, and he can actually be reasonably costed because each other Ent you have down will reduce his cost. But again, just another decent Ent to go after. And then Lindenroot, the Elder Shepherd. I like this guy. He was especially good when Urukai were a thing. So exert him to wound a hand minion he's skirmishing. But mainly, again, just another decent size Ent. Very reasonably costed at 4 for a 10/4. Just those stats are beautiful. And then he can also help you cycle cards to get him into skirmishes with that unhasty ability. So we got Lindenroot. And then Treebeard, Keeper of the Watchwood, just a fantastic card. This is going to be one of your main go-to pieces. He does have the restriction, though, of spot 3 Gandalf companions. So again, make sure you're doing this in the right order and that you actually have 3 companions down to be able to play him. But this ability is fantastic. Exert him twice to play a condition from your discard pile and make an opponent discard one of his or her conditions. So not only do you get a condition back, your opponent loses one. So if you can launch that off a couple times, you're going to be in really good shape. And we'll talk later on about how you can do that. Because obviously natively he can only do it once because the ability requires him to exert twice, and he's only a 4 vitality. Shouldn't say only, but he's a 4 vitality. And then we do have Radagast, the brown. So this is a PC errata. Again, just to make him slightly more fair, the move limit does go away if he leaves play. So one of the things you could do with the old Radagast is you could just burn him and keep the move limit. So even though you burned him, the move limit would stay in place. And then also this penalty that your opponent can discard 2 to draw 2, that would go away also. So used to be a fantastic tech to burn Radagast, but now I'd say he's just in here to make the move limit +1 in a fair way, so that when you do stack up a ton of Ents, if you want to go from 3 to 6, for example, or 6 to 9, this is the guy who's going to let you do that. Sam, son of Hamfast, for some burden removal. Again, this is the errated version. It's going to be a lot more restrictive on exertion. Luckily, in this deck, you're going to have plenty of extra vitality lying around to exert extra companions, so that's not too bad of a penalty to have to do another exertion. Barlam and Butterbur, the Prancing Pony Proprietor. This one is great to just get whatever key Gandalf card back you need. Key Gandalf event, I should say. And so we're running a full play set here. 3 Barlam and Butterburs. So doing that pretty heavily. So you'll notice there's a Gandalf event package in here. And then this is nice because it basically just becomes a combo card of any of those events. Oh, here, let me move these. Just help the camera out. So we do have Gandalf's Staff for extra vitality. Narya for extra vitality. So this is going to be definitely a super Gandalf deck. And Sting, Bane of the 8 Legs for Frodo. We have an Enraged. This you can put on an Ent and make it Strength +4 until end of turn. And it does then get discarded. But, Ent Horde, because of his damage +1, damage +1, because of his defender +1, he's going to be a fantastic one to put that on. Get your defender +1, and then get some big strength out there. That's a nice combo. The other nice combo I would say with this Enraged is to utilize it with Treebeard, because he's going to get back a condition from your discard pile, and Enraged does a good job of getting into your discard pile. But then Treebeard can get it back. So there's that. Nice tech there. Moment of Respite. Again, just more healing on Gandalf. Discard 2 cards from your hand to heal Gandalf. Again, we want to keep his vitality healthy. And then this is a PC virtual card. My Heart Tells Me. So this one is really nice. Each time a minion is about to take a wound, you may spot Gandalf to prevent that wound, which it may not even matter depending on if you're not actually getting that minion off the table, or if you're not moving again at that point, to heal a companion. Limit once per turn. Definitely good that they limited that to once per turn, or that could get really out of hand. What I was going to say, though, is this is also fantastic with that Treebeard, because you heal Treebeard one time, and then suddenly he can repeat his discard a condition, return a condition ability. So that's great with Treebeard. Also, of course, great with Gandalf, just to keep his vitality fresh. My Heart Tells Me. And then lastly, Tale of the Great Ring. So this is another one that's fantastic if you have to get Frodo involved in skirmishes. You can get this back with Treebeard too, because it is a condition that does discard itself. But anyone who's played in movie knows how broken this card is, because most people do not have shadow events. And so this just means your ring bearer can't be overwhelmed. And again, in the theme of getting Gandalf cards out of your deck, you do have a Wizard is Never Late. So we've got a full play set of that as well. Also in foil in this deck. Interesting note about this, and I got called out on this in one of my previous videos about the rule of 4. You do have to be careful with Save from the Fire. So you can't, for example, do Save from the Fire twice in the same turn because you're going to be breaking the rule of 4 because you can only take into hand 4 cards per fellowship phase. And if you do a Save from the Fire, that's 3 right there. So doing a second one would not ever be worth it. But if you want to thin your deck, you can have 3 of the cards you take be a Wizard is Never Late, and then play those 3 to get 3 companions. That's if you want these out of your deck. If you want to keep these in your deck, you just go straight for the companions. But because why that is this says play a Gandalf character from your draw deck. Play from your draw deck does not count against the rule of 4 like draw a card or take a card into hand does. So that gets around the rule of 4. That's only relevant, though, if you're really looking to thin these out of the deck, but an interesting rule distinction to be aware of. Then we do have Servant of the Secret Fire, just a fantastic card, of course. And the Roll of Thunder, 2 copies of that. Again, we're not having Galadriel to help us get rid of possessions, so we've got this around that can get rid of possessions or artifacts. So this can kill a Grond. I think Grond is probably eroded in this format, though. But either way, nice card. Terrible and Evil. Again, just great with Gandalf to get rid of a minion and Inkea, something like that. If you do decide to go over 6 companions, Terrible and Evil can be great to preemptively strike an Inkea. Deep in Thought to discard all conditions, or I should say all shadow conditions, so that's what's fantastic. There has to be 4 Twilight in the pool, but this deck usually doesn't have a problem doing that. Crack into Rubble for liberation and more condition discarding. And that's it. So that is the Free People's side. Again, I'm going to be able to go a lot faster on the shadow side because your shadow side is going to be Dunland. I have done a deck tech of this already on a little shout out here to Matt Manning and his YouTube channel, Board Matt. We did a full deck tech on this Dunland deck already there. So I'll just give you the very brief overview here. You're trying to control 2 sites with Freka, with the full playset of that, and with Hillman Tribe, the full playset of that. And once you've controlled those sites, the goal is to just repeatedly rain down Dunland Elders on your opponent. And the Elder, for anyone not initiated, says, if you control 2 sites, this minion is Strength +5, Fierce, and Damage +1. So this just turns into a 12 power Fierce, Damage +1 beast, and is very inexpensive. So that's your goal of your deck, is that. This, I should have mentioned, this deck is 35 cards, so, you know, few cards bigger than maybe a typical deck. So this is playing 3 Rabble Rousers. Chose to kind of up the number on that a little. Of course, it's playing the full 4 Hides. You never not do that. And then full 4 War Clubs. Full 4 Burn Every Village. So this is all pretty standard stuff, guys. And then another one I would say that is increased. You know, you might want to increase this in movie block anyway with all the Galadriel Lady Redeems running around, but this deck does choose to play a full 4 copies of Ready to Fall, which you usually see 2, maybe 3, but they went all out with full 4 copies, just basically saying, I want this down at all times. And then you'll notice they didn't actually play Constantly Threatening, so they decided this was the better way to go, is just to get the 2 sites and make sure you're going to have a Ready to Fall at all times. And again, for those of you who don't know, Ready to Fall is what's going to recur those Dunland Elders. Over the Ison, that just makes sure you get your second site controlled, because this is the one, if you control 1 site, then you get to pick the Skirmish, you know, to help you control your second. So that is a must-have. Again, they kind of increase the copy of that up to 3. And lastly, a No Retreat. This is just one that kind of a surprise card, forced the Free People's player to move again. So it's a fun surprise to have in there. On to the Sight Path then. We've got Isengard Ruined. This one's fun, where if you're flooding the pool here, anyway, you can spot Gandalf, add 2, each player draw a card. So you can help that on your first turn, at least get yourself 1 more card for your rule of 4. But like I said, you don't want to draw more. You don't, if you know you're gonna be burning, you don't want to draw more than 1, because then you're gonna limit the amount that you can burn. So nice to have. If you don't have a burn save from the fire, you may just draw 4 off of this and give your opponent 8, and then stop there and hope to retry again next turn. King's Tent, Tower of Extilion. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but this is the one that can give you also a +1 move limit. Very nice for this deck. Anduin Banks, Crashed Gate. Good for Dunland. Sometimes this is not relevant, but Control of Sight, very relevant for Dunland. Minas Tirith 5th Circle. This one we're playing is the Heal Gandalf 3 times. That one you don't see too often, but we're clearly a Gandalf deck. Osgiliath Channel. Morgul Duin. And Dagorlad. So pretty standard choices on some of those latter ones. So that's the Sight Path, and that's really the deck then. So let me give myself a nice little setup here while we close that one out. So yeah, this was the PC movie format. So again, my favorite format is PC, or excuse me, my favorite format is movie. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying out the PC format and see how does that change and vary from the format, which quite frankly, like I said previously, really has a lot of Galadriel Lady Redeemed involved in it. So be interested to see how that goes. Let's do that here for our choices. Let's burn that Ent with Gandalf, and then Freka Dunland Elder Hides. So that's kind of my selection there for our thumbnail. Well, guys, thank you for listening. I'm going to be back next time with the PC Expanded to close out this series for the time being. Really appreciate all the comments, all the interest. Have fun making these videos for you guys. And like I said, it'll definitely be fun actually getting to test out these decks on paper. See you next time.